The CoCo Crew is on the air.
It's a blast from the past.
Please listen carefully.
CoCo.
Welcome to the CoCo Crew Podcast. A delicious adventure into the world of retro computing news and information. Featuring the Tandy Color Computer.
Hey, you got your CoCo 3 yet?
CoCo.
All right, welcome, CoCo Cruisers. You're listening to episode 97 of the CoCo Crew Podcast. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Neil, did you ever think we'd make it to episode 97?
I'm actually blown away.
Well, you know, takes a little more steam each time, but 97 is not bad.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Technically, it's more than 97, right? Because we had
It's
episode
really
0.
episode 0 that would make it the 98th episode, and we had a special episode crossover with the Trash Talk, so it would make it the 99th episode. So not too bad, huh? Anyway, all right. My name is John Linville, and I'm here with my show hosts. We've got Mr. Neil Blanchard. Hello, Neil.
Hello, John.
And, of course, Mr. Mike Rowan. Hello, Mike.
Summer greetings to all of you in the CoCo world.
And the esteemed Mr. Boise Pete. Hello, Boise.
I'm in love with the CoCo.
All right. Everyone doing well then?
Great.
Doing well.
Good to hear. Awesome. So, see where time is marching on. We've got CoCo Fest coming up in roughly 10 months. Looks like since the end of June now, so Tandy Assembly is roughly 3 months away. So those will be good events to go to. Definitely looking forward to Tandy Assembly. Always nice to visit Ohio and see the Middle America. So what's everyone working on? Anyone got any projects brewing? I don't really have anything going on right now. Kind of my time's been burned up a lot lately. For a while, really, I guess. But maybe someday I'll be able to get back to some actual CoCo projects.
I've been working on Gamesters. Got a couple of orders of those. So
Oh, yeah? Cool.
I want to have a nice array of them for Tandy Assembly, like all different types and models. Like, you know.
Good reason to come to Tandy Assembly. Pick up a Gamester.
To see our handsome faces. So, you know.
That's true.
How about you boys? Anything? You've been doing the speaking circuit, I guess.
Yeah, that's my latest contribution. I was at VCF Southwest this past weekend and talked about the CoCo. But yeah, other than that, I need to get back to the FNX 6809 project and the OS9 port to that. I still have work to do on it, but it is a project that I intend to continue on with.
Cool. Well, like I said, hopefully find some time to get back into some real CoCo work before too long. What about acquisitions? Anybody pick up anything interesting or retro or cool lately?
I actually did.
Oh, yeah?
It's kind of a rare CoCo artifact, at least I think it is. It's a CoCo MIDI sequencer cartridge made out of wood. So right up my alley here.
Wow.
That's cool.
Was it a product that somebody sold you?
Yeah, it looks like it. It says right on it, Horizon Software Corporation.
Yes. That company was out of Opelousas, Louisiana.
Right. That became the Color Orchestra, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was Charles Lanous. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I remember those being made of wood. Really
Where
nice.
did you get that thing at, Neil?
It was in a CoCo lot that I acquired.
Sweet.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a rare bird.
Yeah, indeed. Very much so.
Cool. Well, hopefully there's still some CoCo lots out there with some rare pieces of CoCo history waiting to be fondled by CoCo guys.
Interesting choice of words there, but yeah.
Anyway, stuff pops up from now and then. I've got a few things I'd like to bring to the Tandy Assembly auction that might fit that bill. I'm not sure. It depends on how much stuff I can lug in my truck. Well, I guess that's probably enough to get us started. So why don't we treat that as our introduction? We'll take a short break and be back with some announcements.
Since 1994, Cloud9 has made cool stuff for your color computer. Now Cloud9 is proud to announce the 2MB Triad Plus memory expansion board. The Triad Plus works in two ways. Purchase just the Triad Plus board to expand your Color Computer 3 from 128K to 512K of RAM. Or add the new Protector Plus MMU to access the full 2 megabytes of static RAM aboard the Triad Plus. And the Protector Plus MMU utilizes full buffering to protect your CPU. Unlike previous 2 megabyte memory expansions for the CoCo 3, the Triad Plus operates seamlessly without the need for special patches, configuration, or workarounds. Games like Donkey Kong Remix and Sierra Adventure games simply work without hassle. And the Triad Plus will reduce your CoCo's power consumption and heat generation. The Triad Plus and Protector Plus MMU, only from the innovative engineering of Cloud9. Cool stuff for your color computer. Visit cloud9tech.com for details.
Welcome back, CoCo Cruisers. Now it's time for some announcements. You, of course, listening to the CoCo Crew Podcast. We are available on Twitter with the Twitter handle of @CoCo Crew Podcast, @CoCo_CREWPODCAST. We are, of course, available through Facebook. We have a Facebook group called the CoCo Crew Podcast, 4 separate words. Just start typing, I'm sure you can find us. We're a podcast, and in addition to the RSS feed available through CoCoCrew.org, we are available on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, Spotify, through Stitcher, and on TuneIn. Those of you who insist on consuming things through YouTube, we do have a YouTube playlist with our audio episodes converted to a video form. Nothing too interesting, just a waveform and some still pictures, but it is consumable that way. Probably the main advantage to taking in the podcast through YouTube is that YouTube does pretty good subtitles automatically. And so if you are not a native English speaker, or if perhaps you have some sort of hearing impairment, otherwise might benefit from reading the text as we say it, then you may want to check out our YouTube playlist. Let's see, we are a member of the Throwback Network, which is a list of retro-themed podcasts. So if you are caught up with the CoCo Crew Podcast and looking for something else to listen to, we recommend that you check out the Throwback Network. We're also listed as a part of the Game by Game Podcast Information Hub. There's also a list of retro-themed podcasts, in this case focusing on 80s technology, early generations of gaming consoles and home computers from the 80s and maybe the 90s. And so, again, if you are all caught up with the CoCo Crew Podcast and looking for something else to listen to, we recommend that you check out the Game by Game Podcast Information Hub. Audio for the CoCo Crew Podcast is hosted at Spotify for Podcasters, which was formerly known as Anchor.fm. Anyway, there is a link in the show notes. If you want to reach out to the host of the CoCo Crew Podcast, we have a few addresses set up. The first 3 are group addresses, so we'll reach all the hosts. We've got show, SHOW, at CoCoCrew.org. That's @CoCoCrew.org. We also have podcast, PODCAST, at CoCoCrew.org. And we have feedback, FEEDBACK, at CoCoCrew.org. In addition, if you want to reach out singularly to just one of the CoCo Crew hosts, then we have addresses set up that will do just that. I'm available as John, JOHN, at CoCoCrew.org. Neil is available as Neil, NEIL, at CoCoCrew.org. Mike is available as Mike, MIKE, at CoCoCrew.org. And, of course, Boise is available as Boise, BOISY, at CoCoCrew.org. All right, that's our standard list of announcements. So at this point, we'd normally like to handle a few announcements for events happening in real life that we think might be of interest to our listeners. First up, we have Classic Game Fest, July 22nd and 23rd, or through 23rd of 2023. Classic Game Fest, the biggest retro gaming event in Texas. And, they like to do things big in Texas, so it should be a cool event. It says, enjoy 75,000 plus square feet of retro video games and fun at the Palmer Event Center, overlooking Ladybird Lake and the downtown Austin skyline. The Palmer Event Center is conveniently located only a short walk from many hotels, restaurants, bus stops, and bike rental stations. Looks like a cool event. We've had good reviews of this event from Brendan Donahue. So if you are in or near Austin, Texas, and looking for some retro goodness coming about towards the end of the last part of July, then you should check out Classic Game Fest. Coming up the end of July 28th through the 30th to 2023, we have the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. Southern Fried Gaming Expo features more than 300 arcade and pinball machines, dozens of new and retro console systems, a massive tabletop library, RPGs, wrestling, music, tournaments, a vendor expo, exciting panel sessions, guest speakers, and so much more. Again, if you're looking for a cool retro event, this is in Atlanta, Georgia at the Marriott Renaissance Waverly. Coming up August 4th through 5th of 2023, we're showing Vintage Computer Festival West 2023. VCF West is for everyone, computer geeks, families, children, students, collectors, IT professionals, and curious onlookers. So this is a VCF West 2023 held at the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, California. Tickets are now available. You'll find demos of 1960s mini computers, 1970s homebrew systems, 1980s 8-bitters, and a few oddities. Some exhibits contain pristine original machines, while others focus on unique modern hacks and everything in between. So if you are on the West Coast of the United States and looking for a retro computing event, this is sort of the granddaddy of them all, I think. Check out the Vintage Computer Festival West at the Computer History Museum, August 4th and 5th of 2023. Coming up September 9th and 10th, 2023, we have VCF Midwest. The Vintage Computer Festival Midwest is a free and open exhibition of vintage, classic, and retro computers, computing artifacts, and a few telephones too. The show is free to attendees and exhibitors alike, and there are no tickets to purchase. VCFMW is supported by the generosity of the vintage computing community via donations, t-shirt sales, and our fabulous VCFMW auction. Come check it out. It is a pretty good event. I attended one years ago, but I hear there continue to be quality events. And so if you are in or near the Chicago area or Midwest part of the United States and looking for some vintage goodness, this is a good way to find it. Again, that's the VCF Midwest 18, held September 9th and 10th of 2023. This one's a little newer event, a little smaller event, I think. Kinect Classic, which is held, the fourth annual Kinect Classic, held on September 23rd of 2023. The Kinect Classic is a brick-and-mortar computer museum, research library, and gift shop located in Kinect Square, Pennsylvania, USA. We're a full 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization. Together with VintageComputer.net, Kinect Classic brings to fruition our mission of preserving computing history through restoration, archiving, and education. Probably a little bit of a smaller event, kind of newish, although it does say it's the fourth event, but looks like a cool event run by some of the VCF East folks, I think. Anyway, it looks like a cool event. I haven't been to it, but I would like to go. So if you're in or near Pennsylvania, or the Atlantic coast, or what do they call that region there? Mid-Atlantic. If you're in that region looking for something retro to do in September, then you should check out the fourth annual Kinect Classic. And of course, what we think of as the biggest event on the calendar, coming up September 29th through October 1st of 2023, we have Tandy Assembly 2023 being held in Springfield, Ohio. Tandy Assembly 2023 will take place September 29th through October 1st, 2023 in Springfield, Ohio. Exhibitor registration is now open. Call for speakers is open. If you have an interesting topic you would like to present or talk about and will be coming to Tandy Assembly, we would like to hear from you. Of course, we also have the Tandy Tech Track. We're happy to announce that Tandy Assembly will again be offering the Tandy Tech Track. This will be a selection of highly technical topics presented by some of the leading figures in the Tandy Radio Shack TRS-80 vintage computing community. And, of course, Tandy Assembly 2022 t-shirts and hoodies are now available for sale. These are the same items that were sold on the show floor. Support the show by wearing our swag. Check all that out at Tandy Assembly, www.tandyassembly.com. So Tandy Assembly is a big event, definitely a favorite amongst the hosts here. Anyway, that's the end of our announcements for this month. When we take a break there, and when we return, we'll cover some news.
If you're a fan of the TRS-80 color computer, then you won't want to miss CoCo, the colorful history of Tandy's underdog computer from CRC Press. Follow the evolution of the color computer from the early beginnings of Project Green Thumb and Videotex terminals to the CoCo 1, MC10, CoCo 2, and CoCo 3. Follow the rise of Rainbow Magazine, Microware, and the CoCo community at large. Get the inside story from Tandy engineers, constantly challenged to reduce cost and increase capability. If you own a CoCo, you should own this book, CoCo, the colorful history of Tandy's underdog computer, written by Boise Pete and Bill LaJudas. Available now at Amazon.com.
If you own a CoCo 3, you need CoCo 3 Toolkit. CoCo Tools is a comprehensive set of disk utilities providing the most complete set of functions available for the standard RS-DOS disk system. CoCo Tools provides fast and easy operation of standard DOS commands like copy, rename, kill, disk initialize, and directory through a consistent and easy-to-use interface. CoCo Tools provides an easy visual selection of files so multiple file operations can be carried out with very few keystrokes. CoCo Tools is also the most comprehensive disk repair program available. It automatically diagnoses and repairs file allocation errors, locates corrupt directory information, and cross-linked files. It provides fast and easy recovery of deleted files without the drudgery normally associated with killed file recovery. It also does lightning-fast disk I/O for fast backup and copying at speeds you thought only higher-priced computers could perform. CoCo Tools requires a 128K CoCo 3, one disk drive, and an 80-column display. Just $49.95 from Circomp.
Welcome back, CoCo Cruisers. Now it's time for some news. All right, I'll kick this off this month. Let's see, we've got some YouTube links from Mr. Jim Geary. Top of the list is Invader compiled basic for Joypad. And so this is essentially a Space Invader style of game rendered out on the MC10. The graphics are maybe a little blocky from some people's taste, but certainly serviceable. And it's compiled for or designed to be used with the two-direction joystick as documented on the internet for the MC10.
Cool looking game. It looks a lot like TRS-80 Model 1 graphics, like those Big 5 games that were real popular on the Z80s. So, except nice colors, pretty cool.
Yeah, it is nice to have some color. So yeah, pretty cool game. Certainly familiar to people. It's great to see the Jim is still putting out quality stuff each month. Very cool. Thank you, Jim.
Level 4 gives you stress when you look at that video.
So let's see. Also, he has Mastermind Codebreaker, originally by Lloyd Milligan from 1977. Came out of Byte Magazine. Been ported to Microcolor Basic from the original RT11 Basic. If you're into playing Mastermind, that's an option for you. Third video is One-Line Bouncing Ball for Microcolor Basic. It's on Robin's 8-bit show. He condensed a short demo program from the Commodore 64 Basic Manual to a single line. Ported this to Microcolor Basic for the MC10. Jim having fun playing with his MC10, always producing good content, so it's good to see. We've got some videos from Mr. Paul Shoemaker. He's working on a game called Video Poker for the MC10, making progress on Video Poker. And he's got a little more progress on my Video Poker game. Quick video showing the current progress on Video Poker for the MC10. So
looks amazing.
Yeah, it does look really good. I think he may have posted another video since then that where he may have actually finished up. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah,
looks like 2 or 3 out there. Looks 2 or 3 out there, yeah. And I like even the sounds of the cards being dealt.
Yeah.
Kind of snap, pretty cool. Pretty amazing to see that on MC10.
I know. I'm surprised he got that out of that. That's
Paul always has a good eye for making use of the 4 colors effectively. And so it's good to see that. Pretty cool. The face cards even have the little details like the Suicide King with the sword to his head.
And the
Pretty
animation, too.
Moving on, let's see. I have a link to an article, the IEEE Life Members newsletter. I don't know a lot about that. It kind of implies that an advanced membership of to the IEEE. This one, of course, is opened up to everyone, either that or somehow subscribed and forgotten, but I think it's open to everyone. So this is something called Tales from the Vault, and it's dragon related. It's called Dealing with Dragons. Information about video stuff related to the dragon, conversion from NTSC, which the 6847 understands how to do, and how they converted it out to PAL. So it might get a little deep, but it's sort of a short article. It might be cool to read. So check it out, especially if you're a dragon person. It ought to be interesting. Got a couple of YouTube videos from Mr. Davey Mitchell. First one is Tandy MC10 graphics demo, Forest Fire Cellular Automata. Cellular automata is a computer science term, but so when you take a problem space, and it seems to commonly be associated with graphic screens, and certainly with this is taking each little square of the graphic screen and then kind of do a computation on each square to determine its next state based on the previous state of it and its neighbors. So he's simulating a forest fire. So whether or not that's interesting probably depends a lot on you. But it's kind of cool to watch and just see what the MC10 can do in that regard. So check it out. And then his second video, he's got Dragon 32, Tandy CoCo, and Tandy MC10 basic routine library. So he's got a programming library attuned to BASIC on the various CoCo variations. If you're programming in BASIC for the CoCo or Dragon or MC10, looking for some examples that might be something you can use or at least learn from, you might want to check out Davy's basic routine library and see if that can be helpful to you. So again, thank you, Davy. It's very nice to see that.
All right, we've got a few here. We got 3 from Alan Huffman, and the first one is Data Problems Revisited, a nice article talking about the basic data statement. If you work much with data statements, you've probably run into this before, but best practice is that when you're using a data line, that you only have a data line rather than stacking commands on the same line. And it goes into detail about what's really happening is if you try to, if you put a data statement and then put colon some other command, that's not going to execute, or it's not going to execute as you expected because it reads that as data. I think is really what's going on. So one of the little pitfalls of BASIC if you've worked with much. So in that, I want to learn more about the data statement in BASIC, and check out that link. And we also have another one from Al that's Huffman K1 Library, my first commercial product. This was actually a product that allowed you to transfer files from a specific kind of MIDI keyboard, pull them into your CoCo, push them back out from your CoCo over to the keyboard. So kind of a very specific product, but cool nonetheless to read up on the history of that. It's pretty cutting edge for its time, certainly for the CoCo. And if you weren't feeling old enough already, this next one is the Freak Files, and that's Freak with a PH, modem scanning in the late 1980s. If you're familiar with phreaking or phone phreaking, that was all the rage in the 80s, being able to make free phone calls, taking advantage of hacking phone lines using different tone methods and space methods and things. So this kind of goes through a list of utilities that were out there to do this. It's interesting read. Thanks for those, Al. Good articles. And our next one is from Brendan Donahue, and it's the MC10 internal memory upgrade. Apparently there was an upgrade that was published a long time ago where you could stack chips, but I guess there were some bugs or some issues with it that you could run into to expand it from 2 to 4, or was it from 4 to 16 or 20? I can't remember the exact numbers. Anyway, Brendan's got a fix for this that he walks through in detail, the installation steps. So you can stack some SRAM chips, so you can bring it up to, I guess, 20K without having to add on the big 16K expansion pack that can be kind of cumbersome. So that's pretty cool. If you're interested in upgrading your MC10, to have internal memory, then check out Brendan's article. Well written. Thanks, Brendan. Our next one is from Sark at Twitter. I'm not sure if anyone at Target is aware, but they have accidentally created the best floppy disk storage box ever.
That's awesome.
20 years too late.
Yeah, there are some plastic bins out there that you can find, but it's always good to get a. So if you live near a Target or hit a Target store, if you're looking for a storage solution for your floppies, you definitely want to check that out. This next one is from Inkbox at YouTube. This is a video you definitely will want to watch. Pretty entertaining. It's creating an operating system for the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is pretty cool on creating a little GUI operating system for the NES, developing a word processor for it. Just kind of cool to see the architecture of it. And so, yeah, definitely check it out. Pretty cool.
Interesting exercise for sure.
The next news item is Xshore 1.4. I finally stopped fiddling and released it by Karen Anscombe. Sounds like me with some of my projects. This is a Facebook post from Karen. Xshore, which is a very popular and widely used emulator, has been updated to 1.4. It emulates the Dragon and the Tandy 8-bit computers, and I think that's a great thing. Congratulations. The next news item is Atari's Mr. Run and Jump to be released as a first cartridge in over 30 years by Scott L. Hall at USA Today. This is something that I find interesting. Now, there have been Atari cartridges released recently, but this is indicating that, or I should say there have been cartridges for the Atari 2600 as homebrew projects released. But my understanding from this is that this is Atari, the Atari company as it currently exists, releasing.
Well, right, the current company that owns the name Atari. I don't think it has anything to do with actual Atari from years ago, but yeah, I think they're planning to actually release their cartridge themselves. So
they would market this to people who already own 2600s, and since they're not manufacturing new 2600s, your market is limited to the people who used to have them or something.
Sure. Well, I mean, they're not hard to find, of course.
Yeah.
But
that would be like a resurrected Tandy coming out with CoCo software. It would be
right.
It'd make you feel a little bit
awesome.
strange. Yeah, awesome but strange. Good work. The next news item is 6809 assembly programming for the TRS-80 CoCo 3 by Chibi Akumas. This is a website called Learn Assembly Programming with Chibi Akumas. It looks like this might cover a lot of different systems. I see other computers here. You can choose your destination, TRS-80 CoCo 3, Sinclair, Amiga, 68000, 6809.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground.
Yeah. I'm looking at just kind of perusing through the webpage. It's got a lot of interesting information here, a lot of detail about the memory map, supported hardware. John, have you looked at this very much?
Not a lot, but it's just he does a lot of these assembly language and kind of low-level programming videos for a variety of machines. Mostly 6502, I think, but he definitely somewhere 6809 or CoCo caught his eye, and he's done something for the CoCo 3. I thought it was worth including in the list so people can see it.
Nice.
Over time, all CoCos suffer from performance loss and increased electricity consumption. That's because even the best-made CoCos create bit plaque during computation. These plaque deposits build up on integrated circuits, causing a variety of performance problems, including increased power consumption, random resets, excessive heat, and clock skips. CoCo Renew is specially formulated to remove up to 99% of bit plaque buildup.
My Color Computer 3 was really getting hard to use. It would keep resetting right in the middle of King's Quest. Do you know how frustrating it is to lose your place in a game? I was about ready to throw away my CoCo 3 and buy a new one. But then I discovered CoCo Renew.
Cosmic rays, beta particles, and the interaction of the moon and Earth's magnetic fields only make the problem of bit plaque accumulation worse.
I tried everything. I reseated chips, I replaced caps, I even replaced the transformer. Diagnostics all passed, but my CoCo was still randomly locking up. I was getting so frustrated, I couldn't even sleep. I started to drink heavily, all because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my CoCo. My life was beginning to spin out of control. But then life changed when I discovered CoCo Renew.
CoCo Renew's patent-pending formula not only removes bit plaque, but also protects your computer from future plaque buildup.
Since using CoCo Renew, my system is rock steady stable.
One application of CoCo Renew, and it's like a new machine.
Find your GPS coordinates and look them up on the easy-to-use lunar magnetic calendar. This will tell you which day of the month to use CoCo Renew. Then simply disconnect the transformer and the keyboard from your CoCo's motherboard. Slide it into the included Perspex tray and gently pour CoCo Renew over the motherboard until it's entirely submersed. Place the cover over the tray and leave for 24 hours. Remove the motherboard using the included tongs and gloves. Rinse the motherboard gently with a garden hose and allow to dry for 24 hours. Now place the motherboard in the included striped Mylar envelope. Seal it and place it in a dark area for 3 days. Gently remove the motherboard from the envelope and scrub with denatured alcohol using the included brush. Gently rinse the motherboard with a garden hose and allow to dry for 24 hours. Now find the Julian date on the lunar magnetic calendar to find the best time of day to reinstall the motherboard. Reconnect the keyboard and transformer. That's all there is to it. Now your CoCo will perform like new.
No more resets. No more lost games.
No lockups, it runs cooler, and I've started to attend AA meetings.
Don't throw away your color computer. Renew it with CoCo Renew.
Thanks, CoCo Renew.
And coming soon, CoCo Renew PAL, Dragon Renew, and MC10 Renew. Persons using this product assume responsibility for its use in accordance with current directions of the manufacturer. CoCo Renew makes no representations or warranties of any kind, either express or implied, regarding this information or the product to which this information refers. CoCo Renew contains leprechaun plasma derivatives and polyisobutylene. Women who are pregnant or may become pregnant should not be exposed to CoCo Renew. Do not drink or ingest CoCo Renew. Read all warnings and product information before using CoCo Renew. Drinking problem? Visit www.aa.com.
News item is one man is nearly 40-year 8-bit quest to finish his Teenage Commodore 64 RPG by Kevin Purdy from Ars Technica. This is an interesting story. It looks like someone found some work from back in 1984 and wants to finish it. This sounds a lot like Rick Adams and what he did for the CoCo in some of his games.
Right. Sometimes there's just that one project that you never quite, you set it down but didn't quite forget about it.
And you can't forgive yourself until you find it, pick it up, and finish it.
Yeah.
The next news item is digital to analog joystick adapter for CoCo by Gadget Reboot at YouTube. This is a YouTube video about 12 minutes long. I see a black beauty, John, and looks like he's figuring out through the schematic and the technical reference manual for the CoCo how to bring an NES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System gamepad to a CoCo.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Well, that's something you have experience in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he's actually doing a digital circuit to read the adapter or read the controller and then translate it to something the CoCo can read, which is fine, especially if you have those joysticks and want to use them.
Yep.
Sometimes it's one of those projects that sometimes you just want to say, okay, but did you check out what else is available?
Right. He's just doing it for the pure pain of it.
For his own reasons, yeah.
Yep. The next news item is keyboard Mylar repair by La CoCo Strangiato at YouTube. I met this gentleman, and I believe his name is Ken. I don't remember. Apologies if I forgot. But anyhow, he has a YouTube channel called La CoCo Strangiato. And in this one, he's trying to repair broken Mylar on a CoCo keyboard. I don't know if he's successful, but he uses the circuit pin trick, it looks like, the conductive ink.
Yeah, I think so.
It's certainly one way of solving the problem, but I've always found that to be hit or miss in my experience.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little prone to just whatever was causing it to the original circuit to kind of come off the plastic, that same friction or whatever just continues to do that. So your mileage may vary.
The next news item is Dragon-compatible CoCo games by Inufuto. And this is by Rob CFG at archive.worldsofdragon.org. This looks like a post on a forum talking about a website with someone who has some cross-platform games. And
yeah, I think so. I don't know a lot about this Inufuto person. I've heard of them here and there through the community, but I think it's someone in Japan that does some retro programming and has made the CoCo one of his targets. And so this person, and I don't know who Rob CFG is either, but that person apparently had kind of vetted the games out somehow and made them known in the Dragon world there. And so it might be interesting to someone.
Yep. This next news item is new UG Basic version released by Marco Fedeletti. This was actually, I talked to someone at VCF Southwest this weekend about this. Well, someone mentioned it to me, UG Basic, and that it was recently released. This is a basic development environment with an IDE that has a basic language, and it looks like it compiles for various 8-bit home computers, and the CoCo was recently supported. It was recently released for supporting the CoCo, I should say.
Yep.
I haven't played around with UG Basic, but someone was really raving about it at the convention last weekend.
All right, our next one is from Emerson Costa. This is a kind of a cool one. It's a collection of videos all centered around the MC6847, which is the graphics chip used in the CoCo. There's different platforms. Let's see, I know the Acorn used it. Looks like the PC6001 used it. So it's just kind of interesting to see, the VC200 is in here. There's several different platforms. So it's fun. These are all pretty short videos, but you can kind of get a flavor of if you're interested in here. Of course, there's a lot of CoCo stuff on here, but if you're interested in seeing what it looked like on other platforms, of course, it's going to be very similar to what you've seen on the CoCo just because it's the same chip. But yeah, that's fun to browse through that and see all the different things that have come out to support that chip. Our next one, this is a fun one as well. This is transcoded arcade games for the CoCo 3. This is fun. This is just going over the 6 different transcoded arcade games for the CoCo 3. If you've been in the CoCo community very long, you'll be very familiar with them, but a lot of Glenn Hewitt featured here. There's also Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Defender, and others. So check it out. Fun to watch, and it's so cool how well these games were ported over to the CoCo, and they're pretty much spot on with the arcade versions.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
It is. We've got 3 links from Mr. Ron Klein. Ron works with the CoCo Pi project and does a great job of putting out images that you can download. If you've got a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 or 400, you'll definitely will be interested in this project. First link is the new TRS-80 GP emulator added to CoCo Pi. So as part of the image and package, this is a Z80 emulator. So if you wanted to emulate a TRS-80 Model 1 or 3 or 4, I think the TRS-80 GP can handle that. That emulator's been around for a while, but Ron has bundled it in with CoCo Pi, so that's available for you to use and check out. It's a good emulator, so that is cool. Also, the new XROAR 141 package is available for CoCo Pi. I know on our show, that's the emulator we're fans of for the CoCo emulation due to its trueness to the 6809 emulation and timing. So it's great. That package is always being updated, and it's now bundled with the CoCo Pi. And then the third last link here from Ron is a new update for UG Basic, now available CoCo Pi. So that's also been bundled in as well, and that's a version of Basic that allows you to write Basic for multiple platforms. Raspberry Pi is a good development platform if you're looking for something more modern and flexible for developing software for the CoCo. Great stuff there, and thanks a lot, Ron, for that and all the work you do on the CoCo Pi project. Our next one is from Richard Kelly. As some of you know, I made a maze generating program. This is an update from Richard. He's been working with this over the past year or so. We've had the articles that we've mentioned, and I guess he found a bug in his maze generating program and has corrected that bug, and as a benefit, he's also made it much, much faster. So if you're looking for a maze generating algorithm, you definitely want to check this out. It looks like it, right? I guess right now he's just got the text version, but I'm sure he'll have the graphic version out in no time. So thanks for that, Richard.
All right, our next news article is from Ruckman Ekaniaka. It's a YouTube video, however, it links me to a Facebook group, which I can't view. But here's the title. No piece of art has ever emotionally affected me the way this robot arm piece has. I'm not sure if you can fill me in on this one, John.
Doesn't seem to be showing up right now. It says the content isn't available right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got when I went to it, too.
So, sorry about that, but must have been redacted. But anyway, it was just kind of a, let's see, if I recall, it was almost like a little arena, almost like if you ever watch those Robot Wars or whatever. It was almost an arena like that with a robot in the middle, but it almost looked like a canister vacuum or something like that.
Huh.
And there was something that would it looked like transmission fluid or some kind of oil out on the floor, and then the robot would vacuum it up, and it was like it was almost like installation art, you know. But anyway, it was kind of weird, but I thought maybe somebody might have appreciated it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. All right, the next one up is a YouTube video from Matt Kenyon. How to make video game music for free. And even better, it's a beginner's guide. So if you're looking to compose some music for a game you're writing, this looks like the video for you. He's giving away 1.5 hour course at becoming a video game composer. So it looks pretty cool.
It probably is your mileage may vary kind of situation, but you know, you want the time.
Yeah, it struck me as, you know, how to be a millionaire. Step 1, get $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, even if it could put you in the right direction, you know, it's worth it just for that. Next one is an Atari Age posting from Shift 838. New Infocom style adventure game. So this is pretty cool. He has coded a few adventure games for his TI-99 4A, and it looks like he's ported them to the color computer. It's got the download links here you can use with XRoar, or you can use it on the real thing with the disk image. That's always nice to see.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty nice offering.
Yeah.
New from Carriage Return New Line Cinema.
Good morning, Major.
Sir, why was I brought here?
What you're about to hear is classified top secret presidential.
What is this place?
This is where you'll train. Major, the war isn't going well for Earth.
This is the aliens' newest attack ship, the TRG-5. We need you to infiltrate the alien base, steal the core components, and then return them for analysis.
Pay attention, Major. Your suit will absorb radiation, but only a limited amount. There are 3 decontamination chambers in the facility. It's critical that you reach each one if you want to live. We only have 4 weeks to prep for this.
What do you need from me?
Your best, Major.
Major, do you hear that sound? That sound means you're dead. Too much radiation. Reset your suit and try again.
Why did you pick me?
Because I think you're the best man for the job. Because we've only got 1 shot at this.
What if I fail?
Then we all die.
Power up your suit, Major. This is your electro gun. Aim it and fire. Holy shit, Major. Remember, each time you fire your weapon and use your cloak, you're exposing your suit to even more radiation.
Major, it's time.
I've reached the access point. Wish me luck. I'm going in.
Shock Trooper, rated CoCo 13.
Gimme Soft presents Max Sound. Gimme Soft presents Max Sound.
Gimme Soft presents Max Sound.
Max Sound presents Gimme Soft. Max Sound is a hardware-software, high-quality audio recording station designed for the new Color Computer 3 by Lucas Industries 2000. Max Sound allows you to store real music and voices in the Color Computer 3. Max Sound will provide hours of fun for the whole family. From Helsinki to Christchurch, Max Sound, the quality recording studio of the 80s. From Gimme Soft.
Next news article is from Zoe Hanley on the Destructoid website. Atari CEO Wade Rosen talks preservation, Web3, and the future of retro.
And again, that's the CEO of the company that currently calls itself Atari.
Yeah.
I don't know how much credibility they really have, but you know how to capitalize on retro nostalgia is probably what it amounts to. But you know, as somebody in the industry or whatever, it might be worth seeing what he has to say. At least see where your retro hobby is going to be steered.
Right. The next one is from Glenn Hewlett. It's a great blog entry, actually, explaining why the CoCo 3, the 256 by 200 by 16 color mode, is a great screen resolution. And I'm actually excited to see this because I didn't realize he was working on this. So he's trying to port a game called Rick Dangerous, which was a famous Amiga game from back in the day. I think there was actually a PC version of it, but it was known on the Amiga. And it looks like he's going to get this one working on a CoCo 3, but with a 2 meg of RAM upgrade. So this could be the first 2 meg CoCo 3 game. Pretty
That's
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, great to see Glenn's working on that. Glenn's the guy, by the way, who brought us all the Transcode arcade ports, or most of them.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome when he releases it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the next one is another YouTube video by Gonky. The math behind music and sound synthesis.
Just a nice refresher, probably, and I think I've covered most of what he says there. I think I've covered in the technical segments along the way, but it's all put together there, and people can get a refresher on it and maybe make use of it.
Yeah, that's great. The next one is from Pierre Surratt. ASM 6809 conditional compiling.
Yeah, it's a conditional compilation is a handy technique used in a lot of software development, and for those who are using the ASM 6809 assembler, if you didn't know how to do the conditional compiling, maybe this is helpful to you. seems like a solid assembler. It's not LWSM. A lot of the people in the CoCo world have kind of put their blinders on to everything else other than LWSM for some reason. And so there is at least one other solid 629 assembler out there, and this is one of them. So, maybe it was worth taking a look.
That's great. It's good to have options. All right, the last one in this news group. This is hilarious. I don't know how you found this, John. It's from the funsiri.org website, and I'm going to use Google Translate here. It's Dragon Data, the microcomputers manufactured in Extremadura. So this is really cool. These are old archive photos of back in December 1984. The Dragon Microcomputer Factory.
I thought they were cool pictures.
Yeah, that's a cool find.
And that's part of the Dragon history there. I think, once they originally were in Wales, I suppose, and at some point they were shutting down or got sold or whatever. Ended up, the company that owned them was in Spain. And I assume that this is from their Spanish part of their history. So I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the Spanish there, but maybe there's something worth seeing for someone there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, great find.
Moving on. This is from Elizabeth Hayes, which is Neil's friend of a friend that was introduced to us at CoCo Fest several years ago. Elizabeth is a nice Ontario mom. She likes to indulge herself in a pink frilly dress kind of world. So she had a CoCo a CoCo 2, I suppose, that I assume Neil had been her supplier on, and as they are wont to do, hers had gotten a little yellow over the years. She decided to address that by sprucing it up with a pink and sparkle paint job. She made a video as she did that, and so I mean, not the way I would decorate one, but if you're into the pink and sparkle look, I think she did a pretty good job on the painting, and not a sloppy mess or anything. So
came out well, and she even did the deluxe joysticks to match. So
that's right, that's true.
Yeah, so it's a matched set. Looks really like it turned out really well.
So very cool. Thanks, Liz. She goes by Liz. Thanks, Liz, for sharing the video with us, and good job on your paint job. And I hope you get some more enjoyment out of your CoCo. Very cool. All right, moving on. So we have a kind of a blog post on the Glenside Color Computer Club's website from, of course, the GCCC president, Mr. Jim Brain. He tells us a story about kind of a CoCo, a Glenside, maybe artifact or relic that is a hard drive that had been used in a BBS system for the club in the past and been stored and passed around a bit, and somehow came into his possession. He tells the story there, and it's a Birkenberg hard drive system. Set off to try to recover the data there, and not sure he goes into a lot of detail about the process, but there is some information there that might be interesting to those who like watching a hidden history kind of story. So you may want to check that out. So this Glenside Color Computer Club site blog post from Jim Brain called A Hard Drive Life. Check it out. All right, moving on. We've got a YouTube video from Mr. Brian Walsh. I don't know if I've met Brian. It's CoCo 2 Build from Scratch, Part 1. It says, here's my very low production value step-by-step build of a TRS-80 Color Computer 2 from a bare circuit board and components ordered from Jamco and DigiKey. The board was made by Pedro Pena, a.k.a. Rocky Hill. If that sort of thing interests you, you may want to see how big a project it looks like and how it turned out for him and what other issues he may have faced. He mentions if you don't have a salt chip or the original DAC, Pedro has replacements for those too. So, bit of a sales video for Pedro Pena, but that's cool. We have to support each other, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to watch somebody solder some 80s era components onto a new circuit board, check it out and see what he comes up with. And then we have a couple of video links from Mr. Michael Furman, newly restored FHL Frank Hogg Labs Color Computer Flex 5.0:4 now available. And so basically we've had images in the archive of the Flex boot disks that really weren't usable because they sounds like they weren't really imaged correctly, or at least they weren't imaged in a way that allowed you to recreate physical media for them. But Mikey has gone through the process of figuring that out and replicating them and imaging the new disc correctly, and was able to actually produce physical discs from them. So if you're like me, if you're at all interested in the Flex operating system, which has kind of been overshadowed over the decades by, of course, OS 9 and Nitrous 9, without any quality statements between the two, I think Flex was at least as popular outside the CoCo community as OS 9 was, and has a lot of retro computing appeal and probably a cool way to explore the hobby. So you may want to check that out. And then to go along with that, he has a playlist on YouTube where he's got a number of his vlogs related to Flex for the CoCo. 7 episodes. So, if you got some time and may want to check out what he's made of doing or made available for others to do with Flex on the CoCo, then you may want to check out his playlist. Very cool, Mikey. Thank you. All right. Well, that is the end of our news section for this month. Why don't we take a little break here, and then we'll be back with the rest of the show.
Bring marvelous music to life through your CoCo. MIDIize your CoCo with ColOrchestra. The ColOrchestra cartridge allows you to connect MIDI synthesizers to your CoCo and compose music in real time. Overlay up to 8 tracks of synthesizer sound. Record as you play, edit individual notes, transpose tracks, mix each track independently. And with 8,000 note storage capability, you have enough power to produce the most demanding music compositions. ColOrchestra works from cassette or disc. Navigation is a breeze through simple-to-use menus and graphic icons. Each ColOrchestra cartridge is fabricated from solid walnut, hand-finished, and the entire board is plated in 7mm gold. The complete package includes hardware, sequencing software, professional ring-bound documentation, and 2 MIDI cables. You get professional features found in much more expensive MIDI systems for just $149.95. Finally, the music in your head can become reality with ColOrchestra from Horizon Software.
Add $3 shipping, $2 for COD. Louisiana residents add 7.8% sales tax. Horizon Software Corporation, Opelousas, Louisiana.
You know, you and me, we've been together for a long time. And when you're working so hard, things can get a little hot. And you've got to find a way to cool it down. Cool down your color computer with the CoCo Cooler from REM Industries. It brings down the operating temperature to ambient, regardless of accessory load. Reduces temperature of the entire computer, not just the SAM chip. Easy 1-minute installation, and it's just $39.95. And now offering the CoCo Cooler 2. It's the same price and the same fit for the color computer too. Don't let your color computer get too hot. Cool it down with the CoCo Cooler.
For fastest service, send money order or certified check. Add $2 shipping for continental U.S. Add $4 shipping for Alaska, Hawaii, Canada, and APOs. Add $15 shipping for overseas. Add $3 for 220 to 250 volt model. California residents add 6.5% sales tax. Will ship COD on USA shipments only. All merchandise shipped from stock. CoCo Cooler is a product of REM Industries Incorporated, Chatsworth, California.
This month in CoCo history. Welcome to This Month in CoCo History, where we explore events in the life of our favorite home computer. I'm Boise Pete, and this month we look back 8 years to 2015 and the spark of an idea that brought monthly delight to the CoCo community.
At that time, CoCoFest attendance was waning, and growth for the yearly show was in a rut. It was during the 2015 event that John Linville, Neil Blanchard, and I discussed how to rejuvenate attendance and rally the community. The idea of a podcast came up. As we discussed the merits, I gave one piece of advice. If you start a podcast, keep it going for a long time. From that meeting, John and Neil began planning, and in the space of a month, the two-man band became the CoCo Crew. The podcast started out with news, tidbits, and tech segments. Interviews with past luminaries would come later, as would slick audio ads for companies and products long gone. In time, the crew grew to include the talented creator of those ads, Mike Rowan. In fact, so well done were his audio advertisements that people confessed to wondering if the products and companies were still in existence. Sometime later, I came along to add commentary and this very segment to the podcast. Others like Ron Klein joined for short intervals to add to the voice of the crew. Now we're here, 8 years later. John and Neil stuck to my advice, consistently creating episode after episode, month after month.
And that's this month in CoCo history.
All right, CoCo Cruisers, now it's time for some feedback. The feedback's been a little thin on the ground over the past few months, but we got some in from none other than Mr. Rocky Hill or Pedro Pena. He says, every time I hear about Radio Shack being sold or acquired, I make a sad chuckle. Probably like a lot of us. Anyhow, I wanted to know what ChatGPT, quote-unquote, thought about it, so I asked it to write a haiku, and here it is. I think this turned out pretty good. So here's the haiku. In obsolete aisles, gadgets of a bygone age, Radio Shack fades.
Touching.
Spot on.
He said, great show, keep it up. So that's Rocky Hill, Pedro Pena. Thank you, Pedro, and thanks for the haiku. And not my favorite poetic medium, but this one definitely hits the right spot. So, all right, well, that's it.
Time to learn with Coco House Rock.
Hey, how can I store a list of words in my color computer?
Well, it's easy. Ask any lawyer or barrister, maybe your boss or a manager. When you have a sequence of characters, they form a string.
Tell me more.
Easy to spot in a basic line. Variable names denoted with a $sign. An array of bytes that get defined, they form a string.
I see.
They can contain letters and numbers and even special characters. Surrounded by double quotes so the interpreter doesn't get encumbered.
We wouldn't want that.
A string may be as short as a single byte.
Just one?
That's right.
Wow.
But even that lonely byte can be a string.
Wow, there's a lot I didn't know about strings.
Essential in a program's development. All the characters act as one element. A solution splendidly elegant when they form a string.
Hey, mister.
Yes?
I'm confused. Can strings contain numeric data?
Yes, they can, but they will be treated like characters instead of numbers. In Color Basic, numeric data can only be assigned to variables without a $sign. For example, you may say D equals 12, but you can't say D equals oranges. But
you could say D$ equals oranges.
Yes, but a string value must always be enclosed with double quotes.
I think I'm getting it.
Good. If you program, you'll use them liberally when you need to store text sequentially. Reference data with great brevity when you form a string. Form a string.
Rats, that's the end.
All right, CoCo Cruisers, welcome back. We're going to have a little discussion amongst the hosts without picking anything too spicy or controversial. We just thought it might be a nice time to kind of look back, This is episode 97. Like I mentioned, we actually have this is the 99th episode of the CoCo Crew Podcast. And so maybe we could look back and reflect on maybe a little history, maybe how the community has reacted to the CoCo Crew Podcast, how things have changed over the past few years. I don't know, just get kind of retrospective and sentimental and stuff. This is John Linville, and I'm here with all the hosts. Of course, we've got Neil, Mr. Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hello, John, and everyone listening.
We've got Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
And, of course, we've got Boise. Hello, Boise.
Good evening, everyone.
So, is anyone feeling sentimental or retrospective? Anyone want to talk about 97 plus episodes of the CoCo Crew Podcast?
It's been a long, hard slog.
Well, it hasn't all been that hard, but
no, of course not.
It's beginning to feel a little long.
Yeah, I mean, it's 99 episodes is quite a lot. Like 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah. Community's changed a bit over time. It used to be a lot more, well, it felt to me a lot more close-knit. Most of the people that were in the community 8 years ago when we started had been in the community for, 30 years at that point. At least 20 of which were with the CoCo in obsolete status or obsoleted by Radio Shack at least. Some period of that time, I think not everybody that was in the hobby actually accepted the computer was obsolete, which was one of the things that kind of made the computer beautiful to me back then, is that we had some real true believers, I'm not sure anyone at this point is still trying to run their family business or their dental practice or anything like that with their CoCo, which again, that's different from what it was maybe 25 or 30 years ago, but, it certainly makes more sense. One of the main reasons we started the podcast was because the annual CoCo Fest was not looking too good 8 years ago, not looking like it was going to survive. I think that has improved. At least it looks like it's probably going to survive for the foreseeable future. I don't know. Depends on if anyone wises up. But certainly for the next year or two, then there's people that will support the CoCo Fest. I don't know. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, it's very impressive. I mean, you figure we started this in mid 2015, and the community was definitely different back then for sure. And the CoCo Fest numbers were dwindling. I mean, I know it was getting pretty rough there at that point. But I think it's safe to say this podcast really did improve that. It brought the attendance up, created the buzz. It's also just been a part of me. I mean, for 8 years, doing this recording, every month, we got a new segment, new show.
Yeah, it's definitely been something that hanging out there to be done each month.
Yep.
And not too much of a burden. Occasionally it felt a little bit of a drag at the end of the month when I hadn't quite got the news articles all collected yet or whatever, but it's all worked out. We've produced all of our stuff on time. I don't think we've had a single release that was even a day late. So
that's right.
Of course, it's a self-imposed schedule, so it really could have been, a week or a month late, but we didn't fall to that one. So
we kept on a schedule, and I think we exceeded Boise's expectations.
Yeah, I think Boise thought we might do 2 episodes and be done, but we're a little more than that.
Absolutely.
Well, that hasn't happened to a lot of podcasts. We've seen it over and over again. So I think we did a good job of getting things out, and editing has been a chore sometimes too. But I think, we were all definitely committed to turning out a quality product every month, and on schedule, and we accomplished that. So That's good. And yeah, I mean, I remember that CoCo Fest. It was dismal. I think we had like 40 people.
Yeah.
And it was the
So
same
Mike,
40 faces, right?
yeah, exactly. So Mike, when did you start sending your comedy bits to us? Was that the second episode, or did you start before that?
Oh, it was a little later. I think it was coming up toward the I have to go back and
more
look.
than 4 or 5. It was pretty early on, I think. But I
Yeah.
think you were our first person to send us any feedback, so that was cool.
Yep.
At that point, we
That's
weren't
right.
sure if anyone was even listening. We were only sure that no one that was actually part of the Glenside leadership was listening. So they basically told us to our faces that no, we don't listen to your podcast.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember that.
Which wasn't really a surprise, but was disappointing back in the time. But we persevered, and we eventually convinced them, to listen to all the other shows. I'm not sure they ever listened to our show, even the ones that we had them on. But
Yeah, that's
Flavie.
true. That's kind of the irony is we really promoted and advertised CoCo Fest heavily and have done, and it worked. We made a lot more people aware that it was even still going on. I think we did a good job of getting the community to reconnect and spur other projects, good or bad, both good and bad, I guess. And
We got them excited, so they looked for stuff in the community and found other shows, and some of them found us. So I mean that was good, and we certainly had plenty of listeners, plenty of downloads, and we were ranked top 5% or something like that. Was that what that? I found that podcast ranking a few months back. So I mean that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think we sport about 1,500 listeners on average.
Sounds about right, give or take.
Mm-hmm. That's an achievement, especially for a very narrow audience for a very old computer. So.
Yeah, it's definitely bigger than what you'd expect, considering our niche appeal.
Yeah, because the CoCo was never obviously like the Commodore 64, right?
Right.
So
that's right.
But here we are.
Yeah. There's been some amazing interviews that we've done.
Yep.
With some real icons of the community, and were key to some big developments through the history. Of course, Boise's book was introduced, and that was awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
I remember a number of interviews that stood out. Probably one of my favorite, although I had many favorites, was the gentleman who created the telecommunications program AutoTerm. That was a fun interview.
That's always the one I think of too.
Yeah.
Now the interview thing that it was again a little bit of a disappointment. There were several people that were reasonably prominent or known or well known that I had approached at different times about having an interview, and then they say, "Oh well, I don't know, I'm shy to go on the microphone, or maybe eventually whatever." And then 2 or 3 weeks later they show up on a different show. So it's you could have just said no.
Yeah. we weren't going to find out.
Well, I think if you think about it, in certain cases we dodged bullets because
some of them were terrible interviews on those other shows.
Right. But, well, and had ulterior motives like selling books and things like that.
Yeah, or selling overpriced CoCo software that they had pulled out of their basement.
Right, or things that just weren't even about the CoCo. So kind of reaching.
I'm pretty proud of our interview panel, our interview portfolio, I should say.
Yeah.
Another one I enjoyed. I'll tell a secret, of course. Some of our listeners probably picked up on this, but I would try to find interview candidates by going through old issues of the Rainbow and just picking out names from people who may have written articles or had advertisements and ran businesses. That's how I found a lot of the interviews that we had.
Bill Bernico is a good one that stands out. That
yes,
wrote for the Rainbow for years too, and
That's right.
That was a great interview. That was a fun one.
And there were the interviews that we couldn't have because people were just unavailable or they had passed. I would have loved to have interviewed Lonnie, the great Lonnie Falk. I wish we would have interviewed Tom Mix. Tom Mix would have been a great interviewer.
Yeah.
For interviewee. Mm-hmm. Another one that comes to mind was Bob Rosen of Spectrum Projects. I don't know if Bob's still around, but he had a large CoCo business at one time. So all of those people from the past, I think of the people that we interviewed that were great, but I also think of the people that we could have interviewed.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's something that will always be fought for as long as there are people in the hobby. I think that people dying off, because it's just a natural thing, and then at some point there might be somebody who wants to interview those old guys that did the CoCo Crew podcast, and we may be dying off, but
don't say that,
not too soon. But you never know, right?
That's right.
And we also had interviews with people who passed, like Bob Swoger. Bob was on an interview, I think, with Glenside, and he's gone now.
That's right.
Yep.
Anyway, I think it's been worthwhile. Glad that I've put some time into this. I was happy that each of you joined me along the way and put out pretty good work, I think.
Yeah.
Ron Klein was also part of our team for a while. He did good work.
Yep.
Definitely.
We had a handful of other guest hosts that contributed to this or that, including technical segments, and those all were pretty good. Like Tim Lindner and Karen Anscombe, I think, and
we had Mark.
So
Mark Marlette, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have Mark on. Another thing that's cool is that all of these interviews and all of our work is preserved forever on the internet.
Yep, and at archive.org.
And at archive.org.
Actually should be there at least until archive.org runs out of money.
Right.
They might do that scanning all those computer shoppers in, right?
Yeah, well, it could be. Well, anyway, posterity. Well, is that the quote-unquote last word on this?
I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll take that for now. We'll have another break, and be sure to stay tuned and wait to hear from Neil.
Oh, howdy, partner. Time for timer. Do you ever have that coding feeling after school? Boy, I do. I'm just itching to write a good program. When I'm trying to write a program I like, I hanker for a CoCo 3. Here's a neat little trick that looks really slick with parts from Radio Shack. Here's a neat hardware hack. Come on. Here's an easy way to add a power on indicator. Just attach an LED in series with a 470 ohm resistor between 5 volts and ground. Look, power's on. When I have data to place into mentioned arrays, I hanker for a CoCo 3. When the screen needs to be set to a new, brighter color set, or anytime I want to program it C, I hanker for a CoCo. An Apple II's a no-no. The CoCo is a winner before or after dinner. I hanker for a CoCo 3. Yahoo!
For years, air fresheners have been used to hide unpleasant odors. But until now, your choices have always been wildflowers, potpourri, country spices, citrus, and other floral derivatives. That's all about to change with new Retro Fresh from Jackson & Jackson. Retro Fresh is a walk down memory lane. Each fragrant mist smells like your favorite retro computers. Salmon patties for dinner? Now it's the scent of printer ribbons, Apple IIs, and TRS-80s. Too many cats in the house? Now it's just the scent of heating power supplies, newly opened diskettes, and warm CRTs. Uncle Bob use your bathroom after the chili cook-off? Replace that offensive odor with the aroma of new computers. New Retro Fresh comes in 3 cents. Apple II and TRS-80s, warm power supply and CRTs, and new computer. It's like a VCF in a can. New Retro Fresh. Free yourself from the floral prison of other air fresheners.
Jackson & Jackson is an air freshener company.
Welcome back to Neil's Corner on episode 97 on the CoCo Crew Podcast. Well, I have been waiting 97 episodes to bring you this special one. Why is it special, you say? Because I have Jim O'Keefe with us on this call.
Hello, Neil.
Hello, Jim. Thanks for joining
us. My pleasure, buddy. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. I've been waiting, like I said, well, technically 99 episodes because we did episode 0, and then we did that special one. So we almost made 100. But join us. Just to let our listeners know, the cool story on how I met you was down at CoCo Fest, my first time going to CoCo Fest in 2010. I was with a buddy of mine, and we're kind of lost. We were out in the lobby, and you just came up to us, so I'll never forget that. And it's funny how you just knew we were there for the fest, even though you didn't know us at the time.
Yeah, I know. It was my first fest, too, from, the Glenside last CoCo Fest. I was at the original CoCo Fest in Schaumburg, and whenever that was, 87 maybe or something like that. But in a couple of those. However, I had gotten rid of my CoCos in probably the 90s, and I was searching the web for something or other, and I saw that they were still doing CoCo Fest. So I said, I got to drive up there, and I did. So I probably had that same look on my face, like, where's everything at? So I recognized it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, same sort of thing happened to me as I was just surfing the web. I got back into the CoCo in 2005 actually, and just I was building up a small collection, and then I was just surfing the web, and it said Glenside last CoCo Fest. I'm like, this might be the last one. I should get down there. And that was 2010.
Yeah, right. And you had your buddy there from I forget his name, but yeah. So it was kind of like, there were the people that were always there, and then there were people like you and me and your friend that it was our first time. So we and I think that's kind of what gravitated us towards each other was the fact that, we were new and didn't know anybody.
Yeah, that was made it a little extra special too. It was
what's funny is the how welcoming they were. That first CoCo Fest, that's where I met Mark Marlette, and I think Aaron was there, and Boise, and those guys, and John. I met all those guys for the first time, and they were as friendly as heck. That was impetus for keeping on going. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It wasn't snooty or somebody like, what are you doing here? Type of thing. They were very, very friendly.
Yeah, they were. They're very welcoming. I remember that. And I believe, too, that was the first fest for Mike Rowan as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was either 2010 or 2011. He wasn't much after us if it wasn't.
Right, because if I didn't meet him on 2010, I met him the year after. I remember going out to dinner with him in Boise, as a matter of fact. I think they might have had their wife. I don't know. Boise had his wife, but I think Mike might have been with his wife. I can't remember. That's too long ago.
Yeah, it's amazing we've been doing it this long.
I know. I wish I'd have been doing it in the aughts, and in the 90s, because it was still to me, it's still my favorite retro computer of all time. Even though I always wanted an Apple II, which I finally ended up getting, and then and I always liked the S100s, the M size, 8080, but the CoCo it was near and dear to me, So I wrote a lot of stuff that didn't make a lot of money at it, but I enjoyed programming on it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and speaking of that, we should let the listeners know that's what you're famous for in the CoCo world. So you covered a game called Plateau of the Past, and I believe that was in 1986, and it was featured in the Retro magazine.
Yeah, well, we've put an ad in there, and at the time when we wrote it, it took us a while to write it. It was more of a late night. I was a bartender, and my buddy Chuck Yeager, not the pilot, was a bartender. So 2:00 in the morning, we'd close the bar up, and then work on Plateau of the Past, and
That's incredible.
Yeah, he did all the graphics. He's a really good artist, and we both worked on the story, and I did the programming. So it was it was a lot of fun. But the problem was we didn't realize at the time that the CoCo 3 was coming out. So we actually offered that program to because we wrote it for the original CoCo 1 and 2, and it was disc based, but we did not realize that the Radio Shack wasn't accepting anything unless it ran on basically their operating system. What is that? Nitros, or not Nitros? It's OS9, I guess.
OS9, yeah.
Yeah, OS9. So they didn't accept it. Then we had another company out of California that said we'd offered it to them, and they'd give us a royalty. So what do we want a 20% royalty for when we can make all that money? Well, that was a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, but at the time, it's one thing. Looking in the future, you don't know.
No, right, yeah. So, but we had a lot of fun writing it, and one of the reasons we wrote it, more of a like a proof of concept, was the fact that all those games, the original games, Bedlam and all those, all text based, and half the time you were spent trying to figure out what word they wanted you to use for the what verb you were supposed to use, and with the right noun. So we said, let's not use that. Let's give them a choice, and it'll be this or that, or 3 choices, and then so we based the game that way, and it was actually kind of fun, I thought.
Yeah, and that was genius too, because it was all graphical. That was really ahead of its time.
Yeah, we used little blocks. We used. I bought a copy of Bjork blocks, and it says you can use my Bjork blocks in your program. So I says, well, I'm gonna use that. So Chuck would he would draw these little 6x8 pixel blocks and images, and then we would put them in Bjork blocks, and then I just wrote a program to access those. You know what I mean? So it was pretty rudimentary. It just wasn't earth shattering programming or nothing like that, but it was fun.
Well, and you took advantage of the tools at the time too. That's
yeah, because the stuff now, especially with the CoCo 3, you can sprites and that's I know guys have written some really, really fun arcade stuff. I love the arcade stuff on the old Donkey Kong. That was a great one.
Yeah, and now we have the ports on the CoCo 3 of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Whatever got you interested in the CoCo in the first place? Like, what inspired you to, pick that platform over, other computers at the time? Because there's so many.
Well, what happened was I couldn't afford the an IMSI 8080, which is what I was in love with. I remember going to Computerland and like, I gotta get one of these, and I couldn't afford it. And so then reading around somewhere, I don't remember where, because there was no, in those days, I don't know where I would get access to that, except, maybe it was at an early computer show at McCormick Place or something like that. They used to have the Kim ones and this and that. Anyway, I picked up a Microchroma 68. That's what it was, from Motorola. As a matter of fact, I ended up talking to the guys down at Motorola, and because I had a few questions. I knew nothing about computers, nothing. So what's a bus? To me, a bus was, when kids get in to go to school. And, right, so yeah. I had to read a bunch of, that's probably where it was. I probably found that in a magazine. I just, there were computer mags out at that time, Byte and a couple others. And so I'm sure that's where I saw it somewhere. And, I just devoured all those magazines, self-taught. And so I picked up this Microchroma. It was a single board computer and ran off a TV, and it used a 6847. And it was a 6808, which was had its, I think it had its own clock generator or something like that. I think that's the difference between the 6800 and the 6808 or something like that. Anyways,
yeah, very simple.
Right, yeah, combined with the code, the instruction sets is the same. So I started writing. I used to write in hex on that machine. I would write. Yeah, I can remember writing that would deal 4 hands of 4 bridge hands, text-based, and it would print it out on a Epson printer, that dot matrix Epson printer that cost $500 back in in those days. You know what I'm saying? I remember going out to pick that puppy up, and then using programming it in hex, because there was I had no assembler or anything like that, and then and actually using self-modifying code to do the shuffling. So I heard it's a no-no now. You don't use, but it worked.
That's incredible.
So after that, I decided, I got that to work, and of course it was fun, and it was wires all over the place. I had this transformer, and I didn't put a fuse in. It was a big ass transformer feeding this little 5-volt, and I shorted the wire out accidentally, and the lights dimmed.
Oh man!
The building, and then I learned the value of a fuse, But I actually melted the wire. I could see it looked like the wire started, the plastic coating on the wires just started melting, like it was a fuse stick of dynamite or something like that.
Yeah, that must have got super hot.
So so that was my first venture into, so when the CoCo came along and I saw a Motorola 6809, I says, that's it for me. I'm getting that.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, because that's the next step forward. Yeah, that's lots of cool how you got involved in the CoCo.
Yeah, right. That was, and I had a good friend. And, of course, I was the first, so I had another friend named Ross. Talked him into buying a CoCo, and then my buddy Chuck bought a CoCo.
Yeah.
So, he bought the first disk drive. I think he paid $600 for a single-sided disk drive for the CoCo. He was the first one of our group to get a disk drive. So
that was a novelty back then. Yeah, most people are using tape.
Right. Yeah, I used tape for a long time.
Yeah.
So
and that's great. So then you and Chuck just decided to work on Plateau.
Yeah. Well. We after our tenant bar, we'd get together. We'd be drinking, and we used to play Dungeons and Dragons a lot. That was one of the things. So that's how kind of we got the dice and everything like that. And then I saw one of these books as like Vampire or something, and the book was, which gave us the inspiration for it, was you'd read a chapter, and at the bottom it would say, if you're gonna fight the vampire, turn to page 68. If you're gonna flee, turn to page 22. And so that got us thinking about that. So we solved that one and had fun with it. Says we should write something like that for the CoCo. That was unfortunately, it took us about a year and a half to write that, only because it was part-time and we were just screwing around, for the most part, until it got to be, like, wow, this is actually going to make it. We can actually, and like I say, by that time, the CoCo had, the CoCo 3 was about to be announced. We didn't even know about it, so that put us, really a stop into, but we were at a CoCo Fest, in Schaumburg. I think we had a booth there, and maybe it was 87 or something like that.
So that's amazing. So you and Chuck actually got to witness and enjoy like the Rainbow Fest days before it became the CoCo Fest.
Oh yeah, right. That was Rainbow Fest, right? Yeah, that was the original Rainbow Fest. Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, I heard there was a lot of. Looking at pictures from the past and in Rainbow magazines, it looked like there was just thousands of people that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was like. Everybody was there, and tons of sellers, and wow. It stayed. I would say 5 to 100,000 people at a time. Yeah, it was really something.
I would have loved to experience that. That's for sure. Yeah, very cool. So currently, right now, are you working on any CoCo projects or anything on the horizon?
Well, I was doing a lot of fourth on the CoCo, and.
Yeah, the fourth language.
The fourth language, yeah. That was always kind of my fun. Now, we wrote Plateau of the Past, and I used Bjork blocks to do the graphics, to get them into the computer, and then I used Edtasm, believe it or not, disk-based, to do the code, So,
so
good.
Yeah, so no basic involved, that game. That's pure assembly.
No, there was no basic. That was pure, yeah. That was a pure machine language game, yeah. As a matter of fact, it took 2 sides. At one point, you had to, on the original disc, you had to pull the disc out, and there would be a prompt and say, pull the disc out, flip it over, if it was a single side. And the original discs, yeah. Yeah, because we had some kind of copy protection on it. I think it was Pyrotector or something like that, which, people, I'm sure, cracked in a matter of days, you know what I mean? But
yeah. I was just going to say that because that's one of the unique things with the game as well as the copy protection. Because I remember, well, just to let the listeners know in case they haven't known, I have announced this back in 2017, but I remember doing the Plateau of the Past restoration project.
Yeah, that was terrific. That was really fun. You made it look just like the original package.
Yeah,
it was really good. That was quite great to see. I enjoyed it.
This way, keep it in existence. But it was good that you had the original copy to work from. I mean, that helped a lot.
Yeah. It was. And I'm surprised that copy worked.
Yeah. So all the discs from there even have that original copy protection, so it's not been cracked. I don't know if there is a cracked version on the CoCo Archives website. I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
I think there is. I think because it's. I know that I know a guy because I had a friend that said he had months of playing the game, or having it out. He said he had seen a pirated version, but. So I'm sure somebody cracked it. I don't know if anybody's actually solved it though. I mean, I always wondered if it was too tough to solve, or if somebody, I'd be curious to see somebody come up to me at a CoCo Fest and say, "Hey, in '86, I bought that and solved it." Really did, you know what I mean? It'd be interesting to hear, because even though knowing the solution to it, it's not obvious, and our thought was. You'd want to, go over the map, and you'd be going over areas, and then you would have to make some deductions based on stuff that you wouldn't normally do in the when you were in the solve portion of it. So there was some deductions there. I think it was like you found a body over on the right side, that had gotten carried by a pterodactyl or something like that. So I don't remember. So.
Now that's something else to note, for the listeners to note. So your game also, that was another cool thing about it, was the artwork and the maps that it came with in the package.
Yeah,
I mean that was incredible. You needed that map, right? I mean, that was important.
Yeah, you needed the map. Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, because it was you could. I mean, if we used to, especially later on, we would draw. Like in TC games, we would draw maps.
Yep.
Solve those. Remember Pool of Radiance and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right. For the dungeons and stuff like that. So yeah, you could have drawn a map, but we just thought it'd be kind of cool to have the map there and the story. Actually, I thought it was a pretty good story. It's a little bit based on a movie. I don't know if you remember from the 50s. I remember the fellow in it was Hugh Beaumont. That was Leave It to Beaver's dad. Plane crashes on a plateau in South America, and there's dinosaurs there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of, I don't remember the name of that movie, but that's kind of the inspiration for our story, for our plateau. Yeah, so
nice. Yeah, because it's a cool title too. It's
that was a good title. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, getting back to the fourth, I wrote. I don't know if you remember. I gave it a little. Talk about doing an Enigma machine.
I remember. Yep.
And you can really, I mean, once you understand fourth, you can really do a lot of things quickly in fourth that might take a little more time in assembly. But that's why they use this stuff, in telescopes and automation. A lot of fourth and that people don't normally see. I think even. Isn't Brett's Physics? I think that's got a fourth engine in it, or some kind of fourth under the hood or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to ask Brett. Awesome. I think he hit some fourth under there. He doesn't tell anybody. So if it's a secret, Brett, I'm sorry. I let the secret out.
I could picture him doing that. So yeah. That's awesome. So your dream computer must be the Jupiter Ace.
That is my dream computer, right? If I had. I don't know what, there was only a couple hundred made, I think. So, if they're probably in the thousands or tens of thousands. I don't know how much a Jupiter Ace would probably run about $2,000 or something like that. But I was, that's one of my one of my goals is to build a replica of it, and when I have the time when I can fit it in with all my other projects,
Yeah, so much projects and not enough time.
That's right. That's for sure. Anybody that's listening to this understands that. Sure.
Oh, yeah. So, other than computers, I hear you're quite the musician.
Well, I took piano lessons when I was young, and then I stopped playing for about 30 years, 35 years. And then these last 15, 20 years, I play about an hour a day or something like that. Yeah, I can play a little bit. I enjoy it.
Oh, that's good. And you were featured on a TV show.
Well, it was a local senior American Idol.
Nice.
Yeah. It was out in Orland Township or something like that. And they have this big event once a year, and they, anybody, seniors basically, and then you compete against other seniors singing. And I won it one day, and I got one of the things for winning it, you get a little check, and then you go on a local TV show, and get to sing on TV. So yeah, that was kind of fun actually. Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, very cool.
I'll tell you about that. So they queue up your tape. You give them your tape or your CD, and I'm singing Mac the Knife, and unbeknownst to me, they queued it up about a little bit into the song, maybe a half a bar or 2 bars or something like that. So as I started singing it, I couldn't catch the key.
No.
So I'm listening to the music, and now I'm singing harmony instead of singing the melody, because I can sing the melody. I can sing. I know the words, and I can sing the harmony. I'm in the harmony, but I can't get to the melody until the second verse. And so I hit the second verse. I started. I was able to lock in the melody. So the thing is, it's live TV. You don't stop. You know what I mean? So there's no like, oh wait a minute. So I always warn anybody that wins that. I always warn them. I said, watch out for that, because because that song starts at boom, 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 like that. And then if, you count that number of, I don't want to physically, it's like 1, 2, 3, but in your mind, you count that opening, you know what I mean? And then I was off by, 2 beats. So yeah, it was tough. That was tough. That was a little scary, but luckily I just got it through. And then, and the only fun part about that was too, when I saw it, they go to a commercial, and they showed the city of Chicago, the river there, and I'm singing over that. That was fun. That was
cool.
When I got to see it, so I was like, that's pretty cool. So,
well, that's awesome, man. Not a lot of people can say they've done that. That's cool.
No, I enjoy singing. We got a lot of singers. Mike Rowan's a pretty good singer. I think he's. I think he heard. One time I played a tape, and he played a tape back at him singing. So he's a pretty good singer too. We got a lot of talent in the CoCo community.
Mike's done all those commercials for us too on the podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's got that. He's got a good voice for radio. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Tony Pedrosa, he's a singer too. He's got a real nice voice too. So we got a lot of talent in the CoCo community.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the jam sessions at CoCo Fest.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Curtis, and he's a guitar player, isn't he? He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah. Yeah, it seems to grow every year. They add somebody.
And the Music Man, I enjoy his stuff too. He's good.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, pretty good.
So, what do you think for our listeners? Is there anything I forgot to ask you that they should know about you before we take this to a close? Or
no, I don't think so, Neil. I think I think you covered it all. You did a nice job. I just want to say that one of the things that I look forward to more than showing off CoCo gear when I go to these CoCo Fests is seeing my friends, seeing you, seeing John, seeing Mike, and seeing Boise. Those guys, it's and Tony and all the Glenside guys. It's to me, even if I had nothing to display, which at some point maybe I won't, I'll still be there.
That's good.
Visiting the gang.
Yeah, for me, that's what it's all about as well. It's like a camaraderie. It's just fun to see everybody and hang out.
Yeah, right. I agree. I think that's for me is the most fun. So.
That's great.
Well, thanks for the for taking your time. I appreciate it. This is very nice of you to include me in your final episode.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was looking forward to this episode, and I appreciate your time as well. And,
all right, then. You take care, Neil.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. How cool is that to have Jim O'Keefe, the author of Plateau of the Past, to join us on the phone? It was a real honor to have him on my segment. I just checked the Color Computer archives, and there apparently is a version of Plateau of the Past that you can download on there. There's also, I noticed, a full walkthrough. But don't cheat though. Try to solve it on your own first. If you'd like an original restored version of this game, complete with disc, manual, and maps, please reach out to me and I can hook you up with one. I have a few left from the Plateau of the Past restoration project. Well, there you have it. Another game you can play on your CoCo. On a side note, I was just thinking, this podcast was a pioneer in many things. One big one to mention is, it was the first and only that allowed you to listen to it on your real CoCo hardware. Thank you all who listen to our podcast. And for the upcoming months and years into the future, always remember two things. Happy CoCo gaming, and most of all, CoCo forever.
Hometown Radio Shack.
Hi, I'm really enjoying playing games at the arcade. I was wondering if you had any arcade-style game controllers for the color computer.
Well, we do sell joysticks for the CoCo.
Can you describe them?
Well, they're plastic, fit in the palm of your hand. They have a plastic joystick, and there's a small push button on the side.
Do they have spring return?
Well, we also sell the deluxe joystick. It has spring return.
What's it like?
Well, they're plastic, fit in the palm of your hand. They have a plastic joystick, and there's a little push button on the side and one on the top. But we do sell some other brands, too.
What are they like?
Well, they're plastic, fit in the palm of your hand. They have plastic joystick, and there's a little push buttons on the sides.
Why play games with fragile, outdated plastic controllers? Move up to professional arcade quality with the Gamester. The Gamester is the ultimate 2-button joystick controller for your color computer, Dragon or Tandy 1000. It features a genuine arcade quality joystick with 2 large arcade quality cherry switch buttons on a single surface. It sits comfortably on your lap or on your desk. Select custom furniture quality paint or stain finishes. Choose a right or left-handed configuration. And now you have the option of light up LED buttons. Find out why so many others are delighted with the Gamester. To build yours, simply reach out to Neil Blanchard by email. Neil@CoCoCrew.org. That's NEIL@CoCoCrew.org. For true arcade action, it's the Gamester.
Well, it's that time again. We have reached the end of episode 97 on the CoCo Crew Podcast. And the time has unfortunately come.
Well, we knew it would, Neil, eventually. Since this is a full edition, I thought I'd join Neil for the send-off of this episode. You know, I think we probably dropped enough hints earlier in the episode. People probably know something's up. So, been doing this for a little over 8 years now.
That's right.
And in all that time, I don't think we ever were late on any episode. If we were, it was never more than a day. And, you know, it's a pretty strong pace to keep for a podcast. A lot of podcasts claim to be monthly podcasts or even weekly podcasts, and mostly what I think they are is, well, whenever the host or hosts decide to record and push one out, you know, that's how often they are. And you know, right. There's a few podcasts where the team recording them really takes to it. And then they decide that what they started their podcast on wasn't good enough, you know, so they decide to branch out and do a variation and another variation, and maybe one of their variations is a CoCo variation. And, you know, but pretty soon they're all kind of spread thin. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. Did think about doing something like that, I guess, at one point. Not super prolifferated, but we talked about variations on the podcast we could do if you recall, Neil.
Yeah, we
but I don't know,
Tandy 1000.
Yeah, maybe we could still do that. But the truth is that trying to keep up, and end of the month always, you know, it comes every month.
Yeah,
and so right. You know, it always was a little nagging thing to, well, you got the next episode ready, and you know, not enough time to do that, another podcast, and before long, it seemed like not enough time to do that and still do any CoCo stuff.
Well, that's true.
So,
yes.
Like I said, after 8 years, it kind of wear down a little bit, and you know, the truth is, well, I'm tired. So you're gonna have to put me out of my misery on this one, I think, and just gonna have to draw this the whole podcast to a close, or at least to a deep and we might be back at some point, either me and Neil or me and Neil and boys or some set of the crew, or Mike, or who knows. Hell, maybe Klein will decide to do a version.
Yeah.
But and if any of those groups in whatever order want to do that, or even if it's some completely different group, maybe I'd be open to trying to support that in some way or another. And you can even use the name, even though I wouldn't be part of it officially. But I know that's a sensitive thing for some people that claimed at one point to be in the community. Anyway, that's my for that. So, anyway, if somebody does want to try to live on the CoCo Crew, reach out, particularly to me or to the other hosts, or on the Facebook group, and let us know what you want to do. And like I said, I probably would be open to helping you and see what can happen. But not asking for that, not planning for that. And if you get to missing the CoCo Crew, we're not going to actively take it down from the feeds, but at some point, who knows what changes, what happen or whatever. But we are available through archive.org, and so they've even got a version of the RSS feed there. So if you want to hear an old episode, you can go there and find the old episode.
Now,
not sure what to do about the show notes, but probably try to find some way to archive those.
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe we can archive the website.
Yeah,
because those have all the show notes. That would be a good way to go.
Yeah, haven't decided that yet, but should look into that.
Yeah, and I just want to say you've done a fantastic job, John. Each month, procuring those news articles. I have to say, you do find some excellent ones.
Well, some better than others. Some months are harder than others, and sometimes some people seem to think that as long as they got their project mentioned on some obscure site or some obscure broadcast or whatever, that was enough, and they didn't need to do anything more to document. And so those were some rough months when I have to go and try to scrape together what I could. But
that's tough.
In general, we didn't put anything in the show notes that wasn't publicly announced and documented, at least to the point of having a URL for a website, because that's what the show notes are.
Yep.
And so if you just happen, flash something on the camera of somebody else's podcast, well, that just wasn't enough to make our list. And I'm sorry if you think that's petty or mean or whatever, but it's just the way it is. And we just wanted something that was documentable, something that might actually end up archived by, say, archive.org. If in 10 years somebody remembers something from one of our episodes and goes to look for it and really wants to find that website, it might still be out there, at least on the archives. Who knows? Anyway, enough.
I've used it myself.
Yeah. So, hopefully the archives will be helpful. But anyway, the show is over. We're not making any more for now. We might be back at some point if we come up with something, or if some big event happens or demands our attention or whatever. Never, right?
Or possibly a special show as well, once in a while, maybe like a pop-up show.
It could be, or a Christmas Eve edition or something. Anyway, who knows? I don't know. Overall, I'd have to say, though, that's all, folks.
It's a blast from the past.
Please listen carefully.
CoCo. CoCo.
like there's no tomorrow.
What is this crazy rock and roll music anyway? It's a blast from the past.
Dance, dance, dance. Dance, dance, dance.
CoCo.